Hello guys, I think I need to turn my sound on. Hello guys, we're covering the volume and surface area of spheres today. So let's start off by labeling the different parts of the sphere so we make sure we understand. Okay, this dot, that is referred to as the center of the sphere. The radius is the distance from the center to the edge. Okay. The distance all the way across the sphere or the ball is the diameter, and it goes through the center. And then this whole thing where it's the big circle around it, where it's like a horizontal slice, that is called the great circle. Okay, so a sphere is a solid in which each point is equidistant from the center. So each one of these points, that means the radius is the same all the way around that sphere. The great circle slices the sphere into two hemispheres, okay? Means you have a top half of the ball, the bottom half of the ball. All right, so now let's talk about finding the volume of the sphere. And we want to round to the nearest tenth, which means we plug in pi very last. Okay, well, our formula is 4/3 pi r cubed. Well, in all honesty, guys, I don't use that formula. The one that I prefer is 4 pi r cubed all divided by 3. I like this one better, but it's your choice. This is the one that I will use when we're in here, okay? So for this, and if you look at the surface area formula too, we only need the radius, which was, remember, half of the diameter. So the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. Remember that. Here we go. So first thing we do is always write down our formula. So we have 4 pi r cubed all divided by 3. And now the next step, notice this is, first I should have labeled my information on my radius is 4. Now we plug in our info. So I'm now going to have 4 pi times 4 raised to the 3rd power all over 3. Well, when it's 4 to the 3rd power, that means I'm doing 4 pi times 4 times 4 times 4 all over 3. Which that's going to give me, well, I can multiply these two together and these two together. So that's going to give me 16 times 16 pi divided by 3. Oh, I wrote 2 steps in the same color. Shame on me. Now I multiply 2 together. So, oops, handy dandy calculator. Okay, so we have 16 times 16, which gives me 256 pi divided by 3. Now, I'm going to see if 256 is divisible by 3. It'd make my life easier. But, excuse me, 256 divided by 3. Oh, no, it's not. So now is the point, okay? This would be an answer right here. If it asks, this is answer if asks for in terms of pi. This would be the answer, but we don't need that. So we're at the point where we plug in 3.14. So I have 256 times 3.14 all divided by 3. 256 times 3.14 803.84 divided by 3. And realize the worksheet itself, I think, gives it to you using the pi button, but I think on the answer key I have shown with the 3.14. So we now, I did that already. So we end up with, it says to round to the nearest 10th. So we have, here's what I see on my calculator. So we're rounding to the nearest 10th. So it's going to be that my volume equals 267.9 inches cubed. So I just am plugging in numbers and then simplifying by order of operations. That's all I'm doing. Ooh, that makes other colors really look weird. All right, here we go. Let's work another example. Jumping down to number 3. Well, with number 3, the difference is it's telling me the distance from here to here, which means it's also telling me the distance from here to here. So that means the diameter is equal to 26, but I don't need the diameter. I need the radius. So I have to take this and divide by 2, which gives me that my radius is 13. Label the figure first, and then we start calculating. So now I write my formula. V equals 4 pi r to the third, all divided by 3. And now we plug and chug is what I call it. We plug in the numbers and start simplifying. So I have 4 pi times 13 cubed all over 3, which means I'm doing 4 pi times 13 times 13 times 13, all divided by 3. If that's the same step, because it's kind of similar what you're doing. Okay. Now we're going up here, so I'm going to multiply these two together and these two together. 4 times 13. 4 times 13, which is 52. So I have 52 times 13 times 13, which is 169 pi, all divided by 3. And now I multiply these two. So we get 8788 pi, all divided by 3. I'm going to just see, is this divisible by 3? No. So I have to now plug in the 3.14. So I have 8788 times 3.14, all divided by 3. 8788 times 3.14, which gives me 275 point, oops. The decimal too soon. Gotta pay attention to that. 27594.32. Don't round until the very end. And now we divide by 3. And we want to make sure that we round correctly. So this is just going to be a 0.1. So we have that our volume equals 9198.1 millimeters squared. There we go. Now let's talk about surface area. So that means we're looking at this formula right here. And that's all we got to worry about. We're just plugging and chugging into the formula. So we have surface area equals 4 pi r squared. This is from the center to the edge, so therefore this is my radius. So I have 4 pi times 7 squared. So we have 4 times 49 times pi which is 196 pi. Now this would be the answer if we wanted it in terms of pi, but we don't. So we go up here and now we're doing 196 times 3.14, and we've got to round to the 10th place. So my surface area is equal to 615.4. It once rounded to the nearest 10th, and this is miles. That's a big sphere. Okay. Here we go. Next page. Now we're going to look at some word problems with spheres. Flipping it over. So let's look at number 9. Okay, we read the problem. Find the length of the diameter. So I'm looking for the diameter. So I'm going to circle that with a surface area of this number here. So we know what the surface area is. So that means I'm going to be using the surface area formula, which is 4 pi r squared. So what I'm going to do is take the information that I'm given and plug it into that formula. So I'm going to take this number and plug it in here. So I have 1017.88 equals 4 pi r squared. Okay. And now we start to get a r. I'm wanting the r because I want the diameter, which remember 2r equals the diameter. So I've got to get the r to get to the diameter. So I have to, so what I'm ultimately doing is solve for r. Okay. So I've got to divide because all of that's multiplying. We have to divide by 4 pi to both sides. Well, since it's 4 pi and I'm solving, I could at this point say I'm doing 3.14 right here. So I've got to do 4 times 3.14, which gives me, so I have 1017.88 divided by 12.56 equals r squared. Okay, so I'm going to do 1017.88 divided by 3.1, divided by 12.56, enter, which gives me this decimal right here. But remember, we use 3.14 instead of pi, so we're going to just treat this as 81. So we have 81 equals r squared. Well, r is not by itself yet. In order to get rid of the squared, and remember that the squared is only on the r, it's not on the pi. So I take the square root of both, and we end up with 9 equals r. That's an answer, but it's not the answer I want because I want the diameter. So therefore, in order to find the diameter, I have to do 2 times 9, which gives me 18 millimeters. There's my answer. Okay, one more. Let's look at number 11. It says a standard basketball, so that means I'm using a sphere. Since it says basketball, that's a sphere, has a circumference, okay, so that's of 94.25. How much leather material was used to make the basketball? Okay, leather material was used to make the basketball. Well, that means I'm not filling it, it's just the outside of it. So that means, oh, you can't really see with this marker color. Let me change this. Basketball. This is a sphere. Leather material was used to make the basketball, and the circumference is this? Well, since I'm making the basketball and that's the outside, that means I am trying to find what the surface area is. Oh, well, in order to find the surface area, because the surface area formula is a 4 pi r squared. Well, I need to know what the r equals, but I don't know that right now. All I know is what the circumference equals. But I do know that a circumference formula does have a radius and r in it. So I can say this is equal to 2 pi r. This is all looking at that formula chart and seeing what information am I given on there. I know the circumference formula. I know what the circumference is. So now I can solve for r. So since I'm solving for r, I'm going to go ahead and plug in the 3.14 here, which is going to give me 94.25 equals 6.28 r. We have to divide by 6.28. Which gives me 15. So therefore, my radius is 15. Well, now that I know the radius, I can plug it in to find the surface area. This is a two-step problem. This was step one, which was to solve for r. Step two is to find the surface area. So we now plug in. So we have 4 pi 15 squared. So I'm going to have 4 times 225 pi. Always plug in pi last. So we have 900 pi. Which means now I'm doing 900 times 3.14. Which gives me that my surface area is equal to 2826 inches squared. This is how much material is needed to create the basketball. Okay, you finish the notes and the homework, and y'all have a great day, or follow the instructions in the agenda. Bye.